Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast with Character. Today's episode is going to be all about a project that is very near and dear to my heart, the Holiday Cheer Calendar. And to discuss and introduce you to the Holiday Cheer Calendar, I have very special Santa guests with me. Santa Joe coming in all the way from New Jersey. Santa Joe, thanks for being here.
Always a pleasure, Alexis.
I'm so excited. And Santa Stuart coming all the way from Texas. Thank you for being here today, Santa Stuart.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited because this is something that we worked so hard on. And when I tell people, like I created this calendar with the help of two Santas, they're like, wait, you worked with two Santas? Tell me more. So let's go into our history, how we all got started in character entertainment and how you guys got started being Santa. Santa Joe, would you like to go first as far as how you got started in character entertainment and how becoming Santa happened?
Of course. So back in high school, right, I was always the fun, outgoing student. Not always the best student, but the most fun probably to be around. And so I was pinged early on to be the school mascot. So that was essentially my launch into character entertainment, right? Getting dressed up and playing those sorts of roles. And, as life progressed, I was always, much of a larger gentleman, and I got pinged to be Santa Claus for, local charity events, the breakfast with Santa at the local church and whatnot. And that's where it all started. Around 2012, it all started there with the charitable events. I had, a simple Santa suit and, the fake beard out of the box, the plastic leather belt and the shoe covers. And every year my goal was to add something. One year I upgraded to real shoes. I upgraded to a real belt. The next year got a higher quality hair. And as I grew into the role, I grew physically and my suit became worn and smaller. And ultimately having to find a replacement, I made an investment and, thus began a quote unquote professional Santa career. Starting out with a Facebook page and, self-advertising, self-promoting. That turned into, finding Santa schools and finding a community of Santa Clauses to, network with and learn from, Santa Stuart being one of those, with his own platforms and the Character Performing Network and, the Bippity platform across the board, all these things. That snowballed into creating my own business, a licensed and insured business. Now, one of the larger Santa Claus providers here in the state of New Jersey. And it's been a blast ever since. As far as, our relationships here, it's been a godsend almost. Alexis, we've met, through my efforts as Santa Claus, and we've discussed these things on multiple occasions. And, this journey's also brought along with it its own Santa community, Santa Stuart being one of those gentlemen. And we've exchanged tips and tricks. And, he's got into the business of, handcrafting some Santa Claus wardrobe items. And I'm now probably a very great supporter of his also. So it's fun to just see how everything comes together as a whole. But it's all starting by accident and started by having fun as a child, where now I'm having fun as an adult.
That makes my heart so happy. And thank you so much for sharing. And just so all of our listeners know, because when I've been telling people that I'm working with two Santas and I'm talking about the cheer calendar, they are shocked when I tell them your guys' age. So Santa Joe, how old are you?
I am 33 years old.
And how old were you when you first started portraying Santa Claus?
In 2012, let's do some math. I was probably in my 18 to 20 somethings. Age is but a number. Santa Claus can be younger. Stereotypically he is older, but the magic of Christmas can preserve Santa Claus to be younger. Santa Claus nowadays also female. I have a few female friends that do portray Santa Claus. I know Stuart, you do as well. And age is just a number. I know Stuart himself, you're a younger gentleman. Alexis, I believe you are the fairy godmother of sorts in the group. The wisest of all.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I'm 35. I'm 1990. And I'm just, I mean, Yes, I am the queen of character. We're going to say that. I'm the queen of character, not the fairy godmother, because I like to bring all the characters together. And that's really what I specialize in. So that being said, Santa Stuart, how old are you?
I'm 30. I'm just 30 years old. I started being Santa Claus professionally, because growing up, you always want to dress up, be somebody. I always wanted to be like a postman or a fireman, big boots from the fireman, big red truck, delivering things as the mailman, a postman. Just always, resonated with me. It was really fun. And then Santa Claus, he's the coolest postman of them all. He gets to, ride a sleigh that can fly. He's got some cool deer, not horses, pulling the sleigh. He's got some really cool stuff, beard, boots, and all that. When I was young, Santa would come and visit me. So I just thought that me and Santa were pals. Like, oh yeah, Santa's a friend of the family. We moved over to the States, a long time ago. I was probably about 3 at that point. And so began this journey of me trying to find the real Santa. I was like, well, he'd visited me before. How come all these other guys don't look like the Santa Claus that used to come and visit me? And it was, as a kid, you put on the Sherlock Holmes detective hat and, you got the magnifying glass in, you're looking at them, and you're like, all right, the beard isn't real, but it could still be Santa Claus because it could be in disguise, right? So would Santa Claus have real boots? Yes. And then you look down and they're wearing carpet slippers with these vinyl boot tops. And you're like, Santa's not that poor. Santa could afford real footwear. So obviously that man cannot be Santa Claus. And then you see gentlemen with real beards. And as a kid, you're like, well, are they as white as the snow? Is he fat enough? Is he jolly enough? Does he, have a suit that looks like it's a suit, not something from, a costume rental shop? And so I eventually became Santa Claus because I had a little bit of extra pocket money and I was going to college. And I was like, what are some of my unrealized dreams and goals that I had? And I was like, well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Santa Claus. Even my 3rd grade photo in school, I was dressed up in a Santa Claus suit. I didn't have a beard on or anything, but I have a hat and I've got a little coat on. And I thought, maybe it's about time, because I have yet to see very many good-looking Santa Claus performers out there. Maybe I could become the type of Santa Claus that I would have liked to have and have, interactions with as a child. That one I was always searching for. So it was really easy to be like, all right, I need actual boots. I need a belt that, is there. I need a suit that fits. I need some sort of beard, even though I don't have real whiskers. I need something that looks and feels like it could be out of a storybook. And so I was like, well, Tim Allen did it in the Santa Claus films. How did they do it? There's got to be a way for me to do it. And so a lot of Googling, a lot of research, and come to find out, not only do they make lace front wigs, they also make lace back human hair, beards and mustaches for plays and films and theatrical productions. And I was like, this is it. This is it. I can, at 20 years old, I can be an old fat man. So I was able to glue things on my face and go out and ho, ho, ho. And you should have seen the faces of some of the people who knew me that first gig. They're like, this is Stu. This is him. He's got all this stuff. I had to bleach my hair and my eyebrows. It was a whole nother journey those first few years. And eventually I realized, being alone in Eastern Idaho and having this expectation, this desire and this standard that, I believe all Santa Claus performers have a responsibility to attain to. We need to harken back to the legends. We can't just be like, oh, Santa's a pirate all the time, or Santa can have a black beard. It's like, no. There's certain guidelines. Santa wears red. He's got boots. He's got a belt. He's got a beard. And so I started this online platform, this school called the Santa Claus Workshop. Whoops, there goes my camera. I'm gonna still go though. Okay. I'll have to fix that when I'm done talking. But there's I had to keep looking on the internet for all these resources, and people were, texting me and asking me, hey, Stu, where did you find this? Where did you get that? And I was like, I'll just make some tutorials. I'll make some video tutorials because I'm a video guy by trade. And then I, compile all the links all in the same place so that if people want them, I can just send them one link to the website. They can log in and find out where to get the boots, the beard, the glasses, the suits, some tips and tricks, which I found, which are able to keep things more affordable than not. Because it's really, Santa Claus, being a performer of any vocation is really expensive. You've got gear, you've got kit, you've got things that you need to have. And if you're not finding those things for a decent price, it's really hard to start performing, because you're like, I need everything before I can start performing. But as a Santa Claus, you can find less expensive suits, you can find less expensive belts, and like Joe said, update it from year to year, because some people, they like to make the argument, well, it doesn't matter what Santa Claus looks like so long as the person has a good, kind heart and has the heart of a Santa. And it's true, one does need to care about these things in their heart in order to put forth the work. But there's a key to that. You have to be willing to put forth the work. You can't say, oh yeah, I believe in Santa and I'm a nice guy and I can perform as Santa, if you're like, nah, I can just wear loafers, nah, my beard can be yellow and stained with, you know, cigarette and tobacco spit, I'm fine. No, there's a certain standard we are, you know, charged with upholding, because kids have this idea of Santa Claus in their minds. We have our own ideas from when we were young, but these kids, with all the change in media, we have a lot of things a lot of expectations we have to meet and manage there. So we just have to be careful with what we do. But I love being Santa Claus, gluing on a beard. I don't enjoy. But when you're in front of the kids and you're sharing that magic, that's when it all comes to life. It makes, you know, getting all dressed up and being uncomfortable for the drive over there worth it. Every penny.
Listening to you guys talk about your humble beginnings as Santa Claus makes me so proud to have recruited you for this calendar, because I feel like you guys are the best Santas ever. And, you know, similarly, Santa Stuart, thank you for sharing. I had the same resonance with characters growing up. So for me, you know, it was princesses, you know, like characters really resonated with me, princesses specifically, because they represented standing up for yourself, believing in, you know, goodness and, you know, following your heart and doing what you feel is right, regardless of if you experience, you know, friction or other people not agreeing with you. And so when I was growing up, it would have meant the world to me if my favorite princess would have come up and told me to always believe in myself, to, you know, stand up for what I believe is right, and that my dreams are going to be a reality one day. And so when I first started princessing, I brought those ethics and values into everything that I did. And it's really cool to know that you guys have done the same thing. So outside of character portrayal, let's touch on play a little bit, because when we start embodying these characters, you know, there's this incredible phenomena that I actually just learned about the other day, and it's called the Proteus effect. And it's essentially the discovery that when humans embody a character, even digitally, through a costume, role, or avatar, they begin to unconsciously adopt the traits, confidence, and behaviors of that character in real life. So, would you say that portraying Santa has helped you feel not only more jolly in everything that you do, but to feel more magic and more wonder? And has it evoked more play in your life? And if so, what impact has that made on your work as well as your day-to-day?
Definitely. I would say that's a true study, you know, a true statistic. There are many differences throughout the world. And, you know, our universe as Santa Claus is very small, but it's the largest universe to be a part of. It's the North Pole, it's the UK, it's Australia, it's the whole world. And to point out some of those differences, you know, England, you know, Stuart's, you know, homeland there, obviously comes with some differences. In his opening statements, he's used the word kit. He's used the term Sherlock Holmes. Uh, Here we would say tools and Scooby-Doo in the US. So whether you're in the US or you're in England, if you're in Idaho or Texas or Denver, Australia, wherever it is in the world, the belief and the magic of play is a reality, and it's a universal language. So coming to find through my years as Santa Claus and portraying or playing as Santa Claus and entering the world of the North Pole and all of the majesty that comes with that, it definitely reflects throughout the year. And it reflects in my life as a business professional, where, you know, I can't help but smile half the time, just because it gets ingrained into us as performers. And it's also helped drastically as a father, and it's helped me understand a lot of things as a father to young children, where if my daughter wants to wear a princess dress to school one day, who am I to say no? I understand the importance of, you know, fostering these things and letting the imagination run wild and letting children play. And as an adult, I know it firsthand. You know, I immerse myself into a magical world from October to January every year. And a couple days in between, come July, and whatever it is, it's immersive. It definitely rubs off, and it's a magic that once you come to possess, there's no greater tool, because it lasts with you all year long, but it's the most powerful once those twinkling lights come on.
I'd have to say a specific example of something that bothers me when I'm Santa Claus is that that people invite you into their homes and they expect you to sit by a nice roaring fire, and it's they've turned the heat up to 95. You're wearing winter boots, winter hair. You've got everything glued on, the beard, the wig. You can't breathe. Maybe just about your wrists between the glove and the sleeve, and then right here around your eyes before you're all dressed up. And so, in order to get your expressions and to gesticulate right, you have to exaggerate some things. And Joe and I, we have the ability to be like Superman. We can take off the beard and suddenly we're Clark Kent. And so I don't know, Joe, if you run into this, but I certainly do, is I have to smile a certain way when I'm in the beard, and I laugh a certain way, and I talk a certain way. Not just because, I'm trying to be an old person, Santa Claus is typically older, but, Santa Claus is foreign, so he should sound different, the way he talks, whether that be an accent or, the way he talks, the tone, however it is. So there's all these things that happen just in December. And then I'll look at pictures of me smiling without the beard, just like going out with the kids, around January, or, if we're doing something around Thanksgiving or Christmas. And I'm like, I'm doing that daft smile again, because it's one thing to smile like me. For those who can see, this is me smiling naturally. And then this is me smiling like Santa. It's really quite terrifying. But when you've got a mustache and eyebrows, you have to make sure you can see the eyebrows, and it's very terrifying. And I'll see pictures of me and I'm like, I look like a daft man. What am I doing? I'm going crazy. Like, this is not okay. I look like the Mad Hatter. So you've got to, there are some, you'll talk like, oh, hello then. Well, come over here. I need to talk to you. There's, the way you talk, the way you sound, there's some habits that, you get into, they come a part of you, and you have to be like, no. You have to separate that, because I don't want to smile like that all the time, but you have to when you're in the beard. So you do some things with your arms, and how you're talking, always get after the kids, sort of some gestures and things that they look really strange when you're not dressed up as Santa. Like, you can't go out and be very friendly with little children when you're not dressed as Santa, because that's not okay. That's a big red flag nowadays. I've always said to the kids and their parents when they come and visit me and they start to cry, not the parents, the kids, I tell the parents, you've got good kids because they're afraid of me. That's good. They've got stranger danger. You've told them their whole lives never to go talk to strangers. Don't accept candy from a stranger. And under no circumstance should you ever sit on a stranger's lap or knee. And yet here they are. Here, take a photo with my kid. So it's very... There's some things that are appropriate to do as Santa Claus. There's, given expectations and goals there. But as a regular person just walking about, of course we can be jolly. Of course we can be funny and animated. But there are some things that are just really strange to do if you don't look like Santa.
Do you guys ever, so I play with kids all the time, and you never really take off the, like to your reference, Santa Stuart, like you can notice, I mean, sometimes it's funny because in the princess party community, many professional princesses will still pose like a princess, even out of costume. So you'll see like the pointed toe and the head. Oh yeah. Like it's the flick of the wrist. And I instinctively, I feel like I've always done it even before I was portraying characters, but I do the eyebrow raise. So I'll always catch myself like doing the Elsa eyebrow raise.
Right. Yeah.
And, but I always, as a woman and as someone who's worked with kids for forever, and you guys have kids, I'm always interacting with kids, even though I'm not dressed in costume. And sometimes it doesn't really happen that often because I'm a woman, and I feel like people are much more accepting of women talking and hanging out with children than they are men. And so, but I have had the rare occasion where I've been, playing peekaboo with a child at the grocery store or something. And then the mom is just kind of like looking at me and I'm like, shh, it's okay. I'm a princess. And then they're like, what do you mean? I was like, no, actually. And I'll get on my phone and I'll show them a photo of me as a princess. And they're like, oh my God, honey. And I'm like, no, don't ruin it. I'm like, no, like that's not me. It's not. And so it's like the parent almost breaks, the magic, but I have to use that as a reference point. Like, no, don't worry. I'm a professional. It's okay.
Yeah, see, if we did that looking the way we do, and we try and comfort somebody saying, no, but I'm Santa Claus, it makes things worse.
I was going to say, it's much easier for the guys with the real beards, because people just like, oh, there's the proof. Of course he could be a Santa. And then it's totally fine, or they're an older gentleman, being a grandpa. But when you get like young 30-year-old guys going around a grocery store, maybe playing, peekaboo with a kid, like that can be a bit questionable, and security might be called. Like, that puts nobody at ease nowadays. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, like, we carry insurance as professional performers. We have to make sure, just in case anything does happen, we have coverage for that sort of thing. Luckily, we've never had to use it as a general rule, but it's there just in case somebody gets hurt, just in case there are false charges brought up. But it's something to really be aware of. And I think those who want to be a professional Santa, it's not just putting on a beard and looking good and having certain skills. There's the business side as well. And Joe can speak to this too, because he's got a business, and even you, Alexis, having those insurance policies. You don't need them until you need them, but it's really important that you cross that threshold from being an amateur and being a cosplayer or looking really good at what you do to being a professional and understanding the gravity that comes with the performing and the gigs that we have to attend.
Yeah, I had my first Santa accident the other night, and this year I'm seated on a 4-man bench, so a bench long enough to seat 4 adults. I was in one corner of the bench. The child was in the opposite corner, and the kid face dove right off the bench. I just couldn't get to him in time. The big brother who was in the middle walked away, and this little kid right off the end of the bench. And I was just like, oh. Thankfully, I didn't drop them, but they did it on themselves. But it's having the comfort knowing that as professionals we are, licensed, insured to have a transaction. God forbid any accidents do come up. We have that, and that's the big difference in employing somebody off of Craigslist or an internet ad versus seeking professional quality, licensed and insured business providers.
I agree. There's 2 parts of that. You got to have license and insurance, a background check. But you also want a good Santa. There are some people out there who can pass a background check, who can get, insurance, because there's no like, oh, how good of a performer are you? All right, we'll give you a discount. No, there's none of that. But if you want to make this a career, if you want to make this a vocation, if you want to make a difference in the world and to inspire the youth of today to have the magic in their lives, especially, having the spirit of Christmas year round, that's just, looking for the best parts in everything you do, you've got to work at it. So not only do you have to, have the heart of a Santa, but you have to put in the work to get your beard as white as the snow, to get your boots nice and shiny, to make sure your paperwork has the T's crossed and the I's dotted. That's something that not a lot of people realize nowadays in this world of video and TikTok. People can just do, just advertise anything at a moment's notice. We bring actual value by preparing throughout the rest of the year. Joe, I'm going to speak for you as well. We don't really take a season off. We perform during November, December, but we are really doing our homework and improving throughout the rest of the year. We can't order boots on Christmas Eve for Christmas Day. We are ordering stuff and taking account of everything we need in the off season. We're going to schools. We're going to online webinars. We're learning and practicing our trade because we don't get to perform as a group. There's no dress rehearsal for being a Santa Claus. Really, you just go and you do your best with every time. Sure, you can do some workshops, but really it's not like, all right, in 3 weeks time we're going live. This is the right explanation. No, it's really improv and on the fly. It takes a lot of work and a lot of preparation, and people will see that reflected in the prices of these professional services because there is value that we bring to our customers.
Yeah, I respect that so much. And just Santa characters in general, princesses are a whole different ballgame, but Santa is such an iconic, it's a legacy character, and you really have to make sure that you honor that with integrity. I mean, I can remember as a kid smelling Santa's cigarette beard for the first time, just like you talked about. And I remember being like, this isn't Santa. And, it was not a magical experience. And so these little touch points, they make a big difference. And so does the authenticity and the integrity of the character, as well as embodying the ethics and values of that character. And so it is a long drawn out process, which brings me to how we bring this magic to adults and to corporate spaces, because it's much easier to bring Christmas magic to, the local mall during Christmas time, or, to a birthday party or an event that we are being booked for. But to bring it to a space where character and play aren't necessarily common, and to say, you know what, this is what we do, this is what we stand for, and we're excited and passionate about bringing this same magic, this same whimsy, but to adults, is really what the cheer calendar, it's the foundation on which the cheer calendar was built. And so what does it mean to you guys to be able to create magic and to be Santa, not only for kids, but also for adults? And why do you guys think it's important that people never forget that there is magic and there is wonder and there is whimsy in the world, and that they can play and have fun and relax, and that can be just as important as reaching quotas and goals?
So it being Santa Claus is not just for the children, it's for everybody. And working as Santa Claus or portraying Santa Claus, one of the best things that can happen to you is when the child runs up to you and shouts Santa Claus and gives you the warm embrace, or just melts into your arms during a picture. That's great. But one of the things that's the purest magic is to see the adult, stop what they're doing to approach Santa Claus, to ask for a photograph alone, and to have a one-on-one moment with Santa Claus alone. And when you see them inspecting you to see if you are the real Santa Claus, and they have no refute, that's a whole nother level. That's better than the child melting into your arms, in my opinion, at least. And it's being professional enough through our continued educations and continuous networking amongst each others, and reviewing our performances, and just always improving and making next season bigger than this season, and just being polished enough to work for adults and to perform for companies and corporations. It's another level in and of its own. And I think it's one of the great things that we've done here amongst ourselves is through our small community. Alexis, to me, knowing who Stuart is and bringing Stuart in, being able to take our level of play and our goal of spreading happiness and cheer, and being able to build on each other and make it really a top level production almost, and ensuring that we're polished for the adult consumption, and making it childlike yet professional, and being able to introduce this into a professional environment or a corporate environment, I think is great, because now we've shown some of the strongest of our skill sets collectively, and we've put them all together, and now we have the ability to go into a corporate office, a professional setting, and take the adults, knock some dust off of them, knock some of the rust off, and let them play like children while being professional, while being in their cubicles or at their desks in their suits and ties, and in the middle of a boardroom. And we get to share the joy that we have as princesses and as Santa Clauses and professional entertainers, and we let the adults have that fun in such a stringent work environment, which can be very stressful, specifically around the holidays. And that's what it is we're doing, and we're doing it collectively, the three of us, and it's pure magic. That's all it is. And it's even better when we get the adults involved and we get them to relive their childhood almost for just 2 minutes a day. I think that's the best part of it.
I have to agree. I mean, what we do, people think, we just do it for the children, but the children aren't the ones booking us. They're not the ones seeking out a professional Santa Claus. They just expect Santa Claus to be at, the mall, or, come by their house or the party, whatnot. So we really owe it to those adults who see the value in Christmas cheer, who, want to punch Ebenezer Scrooge in the face, and all that bar humbug. No, no, no. We are more like his nephew Fred, where we want to, Christmas is a good and kind, charitable time where we get together and do things. And by having this platform, the cheer calendar, we are able to, like Joe said, it's just 2 minutes. I mean, because we've already pre-recorded and designed these messages and games for the work environment, there's not like, all right, Joe, you got 45 minutes to get suited up, and then you got to go drive an hour down to this corporate office for 5 minutes, and then you got to no, we've streamlined the process so that we're not taking time out of our busy schedule and the busy schedule of those around the corporate time. I know many offices kind of check out around December 20th. There's a lot of between New Year's, there's that little week where we can be naughty and nice, but what we have is something that meets the corporate world in the middle. You may not have a lot of time, you may not be able to get a Santa Claus in because there's not kids at your workplace, but what we do have, you can just pop it on your computer. You can take part in it. We're not forcing Santa Claus down anybody's throat. But if you want a little bit of holiday cheer, if you want to be on the clock and have some fun, we've got that option for you right here.
Yeah, exactly. And, whenever this idea came to me, I was like, nobody's ever done anything like this. Nobody has brought digital cheer and character into workspaces that uses our skills and our magic, like, yeah, we might be hired for an event or for, a one-off performance, but nobody's put together something structured that benefits all sorts of workplaces, because it's not only the in-person workplaces that suffer during the holiday season, it's the remote, it's the hybrid work environments where they can't attend a Christmas party. They can't connect with each other in the same way. They're looking through a screen every single day. And so to be able to provide them with something that brings them together, but also sparks that imagination and that recognition of, I remember what it felt like to believe in magic as a kid, and I'm so excited to be able to just play today and to see the ripple effect that will have in each individual person who partakes in the cheer calendar's activities, lives, like in their relationships. That means everything to me. And so when I first had the idea, I reached out to Santa Joe, because me and Joe have been working together for forever, and we've created courses for Bippity, and we were already, really great partners. And I said, Joe, I have this idea for this cheer calendar. It's like a digital advent calendar, but for adults. And, I really want to come together, and I want to make something incredible. And he was like, yes, this sounds amazing. And so, Joe, do you remember? So the first thing that we did is we created all the scripts for the 15 days of activities, and I sent them to you. We went over it. And then, you gave me modifications and tweaks, and we set up, I know you purchased a green screen. We were like, it's okay. We're, the first year it's going to be a little bit rusty, but we're going to make it happen. We're going to get the idea across. It's going to be great. And we set up that green screen, Joe.
It did everything but work. It was horrible. I've done larger scale performances before. I've done smaller scale performances before, but I've never had to record and light and set design myself. And we tried for like maybe a good month, and the whole planning process and the revisions to the scripts and revisions to the activities, that was one thing. But actually setting up cameras and lights and green screens, that was out of my league. We have professionals in that industry for a reason. And that's when the thought came to me. I said, hey, I was like, through the Santa community, I know a Santa way over in Texas. I'm in New Jersey, but this guy's way over in Texas. He taught me how to put my beard on virtually. We've never spoken a word to each other in life, but let's reach out to him. I know he's a video production guy. I know he's a media guy. I see his edited images, and I see the way he presents himself. I would believe this gentleman is Santa Claus. So let's bring him into the table. Let's get him onboarded, and that's what we did. And Stuart, I remember going through the process and the conversations with you, and you were extremely helpful, being the digital mastermind and, now the Santa Claus face of the company with character, and a very good one at that. But you're able to fill in those gaps. And now once we had 2 Santa brains behind the project, I think we did another 3 rounds of revision on the scripts and the sets and everything else, which was even more fun because, I had Alexis had an initial idea. I had a slightly variant idea. Stuart had a slightly variant idea, and we were able to take the best of the 3 of our worlds and the 3 of our experiences, mesh them all together. And I think we've ended with a very fun, interactive, professional, and polished product. And it's a collective effort, definitely. And without Stuart and his digital skills, and his video skills and his lighting skills and his Santa Claus heart, that's what made the process 100 times easier. We would have edited for another year if we continued on the path we were. So
Oh
there
my
he
God.
is, Santa Stuart, everybody.
I have to tell you, Joe, when I first saw your thing, I couldn't tell it was blue screen or green screen. I was like, did he build a set? Because it was very well matched with what you had. Like in the end, it looked like it was matched. But now that we've overshot it and I, got out my fancy camera and the lights and everything in the backdrop, people were saying that it was AI, like, oh, it looks too good. It can't be real. And so Alexis even asked me, she's like, sit down and make a video of you saying this is not AI. So I was like, this is me without the beard. Look, this is a backdrop. These are the lights. Look, it's just me. It's not AI. And still, I bet people are like, this can't be real. No Santa looks this way. And it's like, maybe in the future when we offer customized live calls with Santa, you will see it's grumpy old me in the back bedroom with the air conditioning off so the audio comes through clear, being like, all right, boys and girls, listen up. I'll put you on the naughty list if you don't believe I'm real. And who knows? We'll figure it out.
We started with me on a blue screen and some Amazon lights and the camera on my MacBook to let me go to Best Buy and get a camera to plug onto my MacBook. Maybe that'll work. That didn't work. Let's use my iPhone. That kind of worked better. It's still not there. This isn't what we want to put forward. To contacting the professionals, which we should have done in the first place. And it came out flawless. And it's, I think, a great testament to anybody who's looking to book a performer or anybody who's looking to advertise an event, that AI can put together a very good advertisement campaign for you. The power of AI is very strong. You can make a Santa Claus advertisement using AI, and that's it. But if you get quality performers, and you get professional performers, and you seek out the talent, you can have the real thing that looks just like, if not better than, what the AI bot will put together for you. And that is going to be, I think, one of our continuing challenges, is the fact that this program, the cheer calendar, is so different from anything that's already on market, and it's so fun and so engaging and visually well pleasing, very polished, that you will think it's AI, but it's not. The 3 talking heads are right here. Alexis, Stuart, myself. This is it. This is the collective. And AI can try, but it's not going to be able to match the spirit that the 3 of us have put into the project.
Yeah. And when I've been speaking with people about the calendar to promote it, they have asked me, that looks too good. Like, and that's a testament to that's a testament to your work, Stuart, because they're like, that looks too good. That's like a movie quality.
But that does a disservice to what we're trying to do. They're like, oh, it's just some cheap AI crap. We don't want to send that. I was like, no, but it's real. Nah. No. So maybe we should go back to the iPhone and the green screen just to prove that we're real. Like, look, we are real. Believe in us. Santa's real. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
the green screen and the iPhone, I can remember directing you, Joe. I remember being like, okay, let's add some more pep into that sentence. Let's change it. And so we were recording with your camera. I was directing you with the phone. Like it was a whole setup. It was
we were in my basement. I had my phone in a vice clamp on top of a chair, shooting at the green screen, and I had my daughter's gymnastics balance beam holding my computer with Alexis on the computer, and I had the scripts on my other computer projected onto the TV so I could see. It was way too complicated.
I remember you just being like, I hate this. And I was like, I know. And then you introduced me to Santa Stuart. I saw his incredible videos and I was like, where has this man been? Like, this is our video Santa. This is the face of the calendar. And you were like, yes. And so bringing Santa Stuart on board, and then you and me perfected all the activities. I can remember I was chatting with you and I was in the pool in Florida, and I was like, hey, I'm revising the activities. None of these are going to be, done by AI. And I even challenged Chat GPT. I said, okay, create 15 days of activities, and for, this is a holiday cheer calendar, blah, blah, blah. And I saw the games and activities that it came up with, and I was like, these are crap. Like this is not going to bring people together. These are generic. They're not great. I even tweaked it. I modified it. I even tried to see if I could get better activities and games. And it was just, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And it didn't use what I learned through experiences with entertaining audiences and character work to create connection. And so I remember just meditating and swimming. And I remember all the activity ideas came to me. And then I sent them over to you, Joe. And you were like, okay, let's do this one. This one would work. This wouldn't work. And I remember we sat and we modified everything repeatedly, and then we modified the scripts to go with it. And Stuart, that's whenever you were like, okay, yeah, the scripts are great. Do you want this background? And it was really this beautiful synastry of all of our creative minds to come together and create this calendar. And you can feel it. Like when you go through the activities, when you watch the videos, you can feel that this was human created, that this was human led. I mean, I've shared personally, I had to go through and I watched all the videos, right? I remember watching the Grateful and Glowing video, Stuart, 3 different times, and I was just crying. Because you were so magical and so Santa infused. You were just you were making me just believe in magic and Santa all over again. And I was like, this is the impact that this is going to make. And I was on my most recent retreat and I was telling all the girls about it. And we were watching some of the videos and they're like, I want to watch Rebel Reindeer. I want to watch the Snowball one. I want to watch Grateful and Glowing. And they kept wanting to watch all of them. And they were so excited about it. And I was like, we've done well. We've done good work. So I'm excited to see, the impact that it makes and the feedback that we get from clients.
I'm too. This is going to be a good thing. We're planting seeds now, but it's going to grow with the coming years. It's going to grow.
Yeah. And, partnering with Live Well Health, they've already asked us if we have more calendars. Everyone that I've shown the calendar to, even the Girl Scout organization that I just had a meeting with last week, they were like, this is so fun. We are all about this. And it's just a matter of time before everyone who believes in a strong company culture and wants to evoke more play and joy into their workspace and creativity, it's just a matter of time before they're all implementing it. And I think the great thing about these activities specifically is that, it does get your other workers, your other colleagues to be able to see you differently, because maybe you come out with, the pumpkin spice drinking unicorn that, does this creative thing in one of the games. And that inspires one of your colleagues to be like, wait, I didn't even ever consider them to work with me for this project because I didn't think that they were that way inclined. But now that I see how creative they are, it makes me want to bring them on and to explore this with them. And so it's going to be really fascinating to see the psychological impact that the cheer calendar makes. And I'm so excited that we have come together to create it. It really means a lot to me. So thanks guys for making this magic with me and for helping me start this impact, because I truly could not have done it without either of you.
It was a lot of fun. And I
You're too kind.
For anybody who's listening or watching this video, if you want to check out what me and Santa Stuart and Santa Joe have created through the cheer calendar, please click the link below. Check us out. You can watch the intro video from Santa Stuart as well as the Not AI video. You'll even see photos of us as kids dressed up as Santa Claus, which is just a really magical touch. Santa Stuart and Santa Joe, would you please leave us with some Christmas magic?
Stuart, floor is yours.
I've got a catchphrase I like. It's just something I came up with, but I got to put on my Santa Claus voice. Everybody who's watching this, close your eyes, and everybody who's listening, open your ears. Here we go. Well, Merry Christmas, my friends. I'll see you Christmas Eve, if not before.
And for everybody who's tuned in today, thank you for listening to us, and may you never be too old to search the skies on Christmas Eve.
My heart, you guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Santa Claus here, and I've been watching you, and let me tell you, workplace morale, it's dropping faster than a candy cane and hot cocoa. Let me guess, your team's burnt out. Your holiday party planning got postponed, and no one's engaged anymore in the email thread. Except Dave, who's still using Reply All. Well, guess what? I've got the perfect fix. Introducing the Holiday Cheer Calendar. Days of festive fun, team-building activities, and daily videos from yours truly, Santa Claus. Because corporate culture deserves more joy. Because play creates connection. Because your people matter, and so does how you end the year. Well, guess what? We've made it easy for you. It's all done through digital delivery. No extra planning. Just hit play and download and watch as the magic unfolds before your very eyes. So, whether you're remote or hybrid or fully in the office now, let's make this season especially meaningful. Bring your team together, spark gratitude, and finish strong. Book your holiday cheer calendar today before the Grinch steals your engagement stats. Merry Christmas.